Thank you
Yay.
so much for coming to Gaia's Zoom room. We have HeatherAsh with us. Come on in and tell us all about you and what's going on in your life.
Thanks so much, Shannon. It's so good to be here with everyone. I'm so glad that I could join you. So, hello. Yeah, and just sharing about Teotihuacan that it's been really fun working with my friends and family down there, Alberto and Veronica. And Alberto they both grew up in Teotihuacan, but his grandmother lived right next to the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl, which is where the biggest discovery has been. And she lived right next to that pyramid. And Alberto remembers as a kid running up and down the pyramids. And, there was no fences at that time. And there was a river that ran past his grandmother's house. So and Frida Kahlo used to come and trade with his great grandmother, I think. Yeah. And buy artifacts from her. And Alberto continues, he's an artisan. So he's an incredible master carver. And there's around the Dreaming House, there's his sculptures everywhere. So it's been fun to work with that family, with Hernandez family, to do some special things in June. So we're planning to be able to climb the pyramids. Right now, the pyramids are off limits to folks. And so we're working behind the scenes to get to climb the pyramids. We'll see what we can do. And bringing in the Mexica dancers, and just the thing that's so amazing about Mexico, I was thinking about this the other day, is that Mexico, like India, is a devotional culture, and it's devoted to the goddess. Mexico is devoted to Guadalupe, but they really understand Guadalupe is Tonantzin. Tonantzin was the earth mother. And so there's this deep, deep reverence and roots in the mother and the connection to the earth and devotion, that just being around that energetic, which is so different than what we often have in the United States or Canada, for those of us that are in the Northern America. Then when you go down Central and South America, especially Mexico, that's just the love and the heart-centeredness and the devotion and the celebration is so huge. And so that's what we get to be swept up in, is celebration and also the honoring and the respect, which I think we really need a reset around, that for all of us, that reminder, and to be able to come together in a devotional culture and do prayer and do ceremony and set intent to help larger healing. And I think it's so important for people to gather in power places that were designed to amplify energy. And that's what the Teotihuacan is really about. It's an amplifier, a place to root into the ancestors and the structures there that have built it as a foundation for people to travel different levels of consciousness. So
Are you aware of the message from the Kogi, from Mother Earth?
Yes.
And you're aware that the solstice is the 6-month period that they were talking about.
Yeah.
That's really kind of powerful.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have something in mind for an address of that energy, that honoring that that challenge?
Yeah, I don't have anything specifically right now. I mean, I'm very aware of the prophecy, and Jim and Bonifshay and I have been talking about how to hold and how we want to bring. And I'm very much, I work with the energy at the time with who's there. And so, there's a connection to, there's like many prophecies, right? We have overlapping prophecies on many, many different cultures. And I always feel like, because some of these prophecies are like 2,500 years, like, so we're off 100 years or so. Like, we're in the zone, right? We all know that. And so whether it's 6 months, whether it's 20 years, whether it's, we don't actually know the pinpoint. And things are quickening. That we do know. Yeah. And so that honoring of who shows up and then what's being asked of us in that particular spot. I know that'll come through the earth and come through the land. And, I've been going down to Teotihuacan for 30 years now, 2 to 5 or 6 times a year doing ceremony down there. And so there's an intimacy with that space that I have, and with the land and with the people and with the ancestors down there, from just the blessing of working with Don Miguel Ruiz for so many years down there, and then being invited to continue to bring people there and to share that energetic. And so I'm very curious about what is going to come through all of us, the ones that are called there at that time, and then what happens when we're there. Because I know it won't only be us, it'll be the ancestors of that place, it'll be the ancestors of the Kogi and the Kogi, it'll be the animals, it will be the trees, it will be the rocks, it'll be the humans that live there and the non-humans that live there, that there's something that is calling us to that particular place, just as the Kogi have been calling people to open their hearts and listen. And so my intent is to show up and listen deeply and see what wants to be brought through us and amplified in whatever way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my intention to join you.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, it's going to be such a sacred journey. It's always a sacred journey there. And I feel like there's so many layers this time of things that are happening, with the energy of Chartres, with the energy of the pyramids that have come through Miguel, through me, through Will and Judith, that were part of journeying with me down there for years, that were part of Ubiquity and Wisdom Graduate School, and all the beings that have been there before that are coming on this journey, and ones that haven't. I'm super excited for people that haven't been down there. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's such a special place in so many ways.
Um, I don't remember the exact year, 3 or 5 years, I don't know, a while ago, I went down to the Mayan Riviera. And so I was on the other side. Yeah. Yeah. And I went with Shaman,
Mhm.
Lionfire and his beloved Mary Leonard. And it was truly magical. Yeah. And
Yeah, that
to be
whole
able to
area.
go back into that culture, I'm really anticipating wonderful things. Now, Marco has been down to Mexico, and if he would like to join the conversation.
Love to. I'm so pleased to meet you, Heather. This is
Hello.
I was supposed to be at another meeting, a training for meeting facilitating, with Mark McCormick, a new thing he's come up with, a new way, and I just felt I really like needed to be here tonight, and now I know why.
Mm. Aw,
Um,
wonderful.
I have a bit of a crazy story that, like, when I was 10 years old, I had a dream of something that was kind of like pyramid shaped, only it had steps and there were jungle plants around. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. There's no, uh, at 10 years old, all I knew about was, you know, the pyramids in Egypt.
Egypt,
It's like,
yes.
I'm like, this, it didn't make sense. And I've had the dream a couple times, and it's just, I really see like the pyramid clearly, but I know there's like people around me and like something going on around me that's just kind of shadows that I never really picked up on. And then last February, Chief Bill Lane Jr. started. He was sending me, instructions on talking circles and that have to come before the election of the first sacred council of the Union of the Condor, the Quetzal, and the Eagle. And I'm like, what?
Mm.
It's like I'm interested in all this, but why does he repeatedly send me these instructions? And I ask him, and he's like, well, you need to know these things. And then I got the invitation from him and Adriana to come down, and in that invitation there was a picture, and I said, oh my God, that's the place from my dream.
Oh my gosh, I love
I'm like,
that.
I guess I have to go. And if you'll indulge me a little bit, I lost my phone at that time, so I couldn't take pictures. So I only had pictures that other people took. I left it on the plane.
Oh, beautiful.
And there it is. Got a few pictures here. There's me,
Yay.
Raymond, and Gary.
Nice.
And we stood down there and I said, next year when I come, I'll be able to, I have health issues. I said, I'm going to walk those stairs up to the top. And James, our colleague from Ireland, which he's right there. This is us representing Ireland Kindred Spirits, Jamin, Chief Phil, myself, and or James, and that's Jamin. And James said, next year or nothing. He said, you're going to get your butt up those stairs
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
He said, Jamin will be behind you and I'll be in front of you and we'll get you up there. And there I am.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Congratulations.
Love that.
I only just got these pictures.
Oh,
So,
good. Wow.
so yeah,
Mm.
I never, I've learned not to ignore the synchronicities by any means. So I'm
Oh,
glad that I chose to be here tonight. So thank you.
thank you. Thanks for sharing the story and the photos. That's
Yeah, and the feeling as soon as I landed in Mexico, it's like just everything feels different.
yeah.
And it was so weird coming back. I didn't come, well, yeah, I came back to Seattle. I had a layover there because they overbooked the plane and I spent a night in a hotel in Seattle, but then I went to Vancouver um to stay with a friend and to meet the shaman there uh and do my first plant medicine journey because Chief Bill one night sitting in conversation, he said, this is what you need. You have healing and you have a place in this prophecy and you need to go. So I'm just like, it's not every day somebody says you have a place in prophecy. And so now I'm getting all excited now. I gotta calm down. But short version of me, most recent.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. It's so powerful. Yeah.
Thank you so
I,
much.
it's so beautiful. Yeah, I had the same thing. I was raised in Southeast Asia and traveled around a lot as a child and a teenager and came to the States. And when I first went to Mexico and stepped off the plane, I was like, oh, thank
Isn't it?
you. Okay, I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Stan, I'm saving you for last so that we can go through the
Well,
other
the guy
network.
has never been anywhere.
Yeah, well, we'll get to you. I'm wondering if Blue is Joan Hardy. She's my girlfriend. She's been in New York since I met her, and we've never hugged. But there was a time when we were on Zoom every day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, that's true.
oh, sweet. Hi, hon.
Yeah. And I love listening to really. It's been such wonderful to I guess in a sense be back to a spiritual aspect because I used to go to women's circles and it was wonderful to be there. But then I got married and I moved to Texas and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But it sounds like an amazing journey and what you've done and what you've brought to us. Really, really amazing. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's exciting.
yeah.
Wonderful to see you again.
And so, Stan, my friend, do you want to talk about other networks? No, I don't want you to talk about other networks yet.
Okay.
Um, we'll get there.
Mhm.
I do want to talk about the work that we do together.
Okay.
Because HeatherAsh, we have created a very close family. And you talk about connecting around the world, families and communities, and that I found to be really quite fascinating. You made your own masters in And the masters that you created for yourself is very much in alignment with the work that I am engaged in. And not because I had any plan. Um, um, this is a divine path. I basically had no passions of my own, and I basically said, if you want me to do something, I'm here for you. And I was given a vision, and I am a vision holder for what has come through as being our heart gardens. And I imagine it as the distributed heart of the one we are coming into manifestation in this reality. And in those, I call them OGs, our heart gardens, OG. In OGs, we get together to grow good food and good kids. And we learn and we share and we grow. We've got to shelter our crops from what's going on. I live in Canada. We don't have 12 months a year growing season. And all it takes is one climate crisis, and you have to plant again. And that might be 6 months from now, or it might be, oh no, 11 months from now. So we need to grow indoors. I also like to think that the reason that marijuana became illegal was so that we would learn how to grow indoors.
That's great.
Honestly, I
okay,
think
we have the skill set
humanity
now.
has
Right.
been in training.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at the past and look at the future and figure out what the hell we're supposed to be doing now. And what we're supposed to be doing now is coming together in community and figuring out how to grow our good food in where we are, so we don't have to use the roads or the air or the shipping lanes. And this is really important. So
Yeah.
one of the things that has happened through our community, Suzanne Taylor, she's come to the after chat a few times, and she made a couple of movies about crop circles, and so she's quite media savvy. And one of the things she did recently was put a writing competition up, and it's a retrospective from 2050. And it's supposed to be from a personal point of view. What did I have to do with the change that happened? Because we're now in a cooperative world. And so I wrote one, and I just finished asking my pendulum, am I going to win? And the answer was yes. I really, I don't know. We'll see. But I also
You
asked,
made a really nice video out of it.
thank you so much. Yeah, I thought it turned out rather well. It was done last Tuesday. We had a conversation in which it wasn't much of a conversation at the beginning, and for 20 minutes I read this thing. I didn't hold back. They didn't give me a limit, so I just wrote until it was done.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see this crew telling her to be that she only has so much time. Not likely.
But I have written this before, so I just reworked it. So now it's me as an elder talking to children.
Nice.
So it's fun because I've also written The Life Cycle of a God, which is a bedtime story for children. And it's quite delightful. But it does seem to be a trend, and that's okay with me. Um, the point being that if there's anything that you're involved in that is in knitting communities together, please include me if you would be so kind, and I would love to include you in the Our Heart Gardens concept. And
Nice.
I will send you the link for that video. It's 20 minutes of me, but then it's 20 minutes of them telling me what they think.
Cool. Thank you.
And who knows, maybe it will win and it will make waves all over the world, and then we'll really need you, HeatherAsh, because you have been studying this. And I'm just a vision holder. And just it's
That's great, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's created the me that I am, having that, and having the other thing that I carry is the promise of peace that I was given. And when you're told by two stones woven with inspired words that going forward there shall be peace. I mean, in this time, in this world, people need to hear that, because it's only through our individual choices that that can come true. I'd hate to make her a liar.
Yeah, may it be so.
May it be so. All right, Stan. I know you've been waiting. You want to show
I don't know what we'll show. I was inspired in 1969 on an acid trip by the words Whole Earth Catalog.
Great.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, my friend asked me if I had heard of it. It had just started. I mean, it came out in 68 or 69. And I didn't know about it, but my friend Tom knew about it, and he asked me, and he knew of my interest in connecting people and stuff like that. So it was logical for him to ask that question, but I was tripping on acid, boing, boing, boing. So what that said to me was that the world needs a whole Earth catalog of people.
Oh.
Okay. And so I've been working on that ever since in different ways. And now I do it by publishing something called Other Networks. And I also have my local wiki called Wikidelphia. And I don't spend as much time on Wikidelphia as I might, because I don't have any friends in Philadelphia anymore. They're all here in this screen. What's next?
But you've got a friend who takes care of Wikidelphia anyway, and
Yes, that's
his
right.
baby.
I pay an old friend of mine who followed me home from a workshop in 1968. It was
Wow.
1998,
98.
or
Wow.
earlier than
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because he helped out with the last issue of Other Networks. So I published a paper journal, a paper newsletter for 8 issues, for one a year from 80 to 89,
Nice.
called Other Networks Newsletter. And it was subtitled A Newsletter About Networks of People. And at that point, I was hanging out with people who were developing an interest in networking through the computers. But one of the earlier articles in the Other Networks newsletter, this fellow came from Denver, wanted to stay with my house, and stayed and wrote an article about many-to-manys or multi-logs, or how people who had their own printing presses in the 1800s were exchanging material with each other through a collator. Somebody would take their material, put it together, and send it back out to everybody. And that became the APAs of the science fiction fandom. APAs meaning Amateur Press Associations. And Yes, some famous science fiction people were involved in that stuff. I guess from the 20s to the 60s, or I'm not sure. But so we wrote about that in one of the issues of Other Networks, and one of the last issues had an article that was written by somebody I never met, never found again, but I found somebody who knew him. Okay. So this fellow wrote an article about uh, idea husbandry. And that stimulated my friend Nancy to do a picture of a globe with a hole in the top, and somebody putting in a message in the top that says, please, more messages, please. And his article was a lovely thing about idea husbandry and the fact that we all have these inspirations that we get from time to time, and what do we try to do with them? And so now, of course, we can get on the internet and have a blog and have a newsletter, or what do they call the newest things? What is that Eisenstein has? Uh, oh, there we go. Thank you. So there's Nancy's drawing of the
Oh,
idea
no.
husbandry.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, and
Aw,
actually, I was so pleased. I actually called her the other day, and I haven't talked to her in years, and caught up a little bit with her.
Nice.
I taught her how to use a computer with after my wife bought an Apple Macintosh, one of the first models
the
of the
first
Apple.
ones. Oh my God, that's great.
Yes, that used a single floppy disk, and
Yep, I had that one.
and we were publishing a newspaper because her ex-husband wanted to publish an underground newspaper where he was real hippie, and and so she was doing the graphic design, and I taught her how to use the computer, and yeah, that was
Aw,
when
yay.
we started using PageMaker, because I was online. I was part of something called the Electronic Networking Association, and
Yep.
on there, one of the people that was part of our group of people was David. Oh dear, I hate when those things disappear. The famous gardening company, um, gardening and food. That's so silly.
It'll
Organic
come back.
gardening.
Yes, yes, but the name of the group. I hate when that is. But anyway, he had bought a
Isn't that
copy of PageMaker.
Garden Way Publishing?
No, 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 no. Better than that.
Better than that.
Yes, better than that. Um, gosh, why is that not
That's
there?
okay, Stan, let it go.
Yeah, well, it bothers me
Follow
when I
along
don't
like
remember
a
something, a key factor. Anyway, David Rodale, there we go.
Oh,
Rodale
right.
Press.
Radio
Okay.
Press. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So David Rodale was writing these little trips on his weekends and to our group online, and it was really fascinating. I mean, he would take us on a visit to his friends someplace, and what they did and what they were up to and what they were thinking about, what they were talking about, and post that as a serial a monologue, a series of newsletters. And I don't know if I want to go to the sad part, but okay. Well, it does get kind of sad in a minute. David called me, or we were talking on the phone. I don't remember exactly what, and he invited himself to dinner at my house. And he said he has a present for me. Okay, well, fine. And so he came, and we're having dinner, and he hands me a copy of disc number one, volume one, whatever it was, the original PageMaker that was still, you still had to buy it at that point. You couldn't borrow it from somebody because it was
Right.
worth $300-400.
Yeah.
And he hands that to me, and I said, "Well, aren't you going to need this?" He said, "No, I don't really need it." And then by the end of the dinner, I'm asking him, "Well, David, what are you going to do next? You're going off and." So he he looked at me and he kind of sighed. What am I going to do next? And so then I walk him outside, and there's this Thunderbird with a license plate on it that says David. And I mean, he was a very, very wealthy young man. And he drives away. And 2 weeks later, I find out from his mother calls me. Would I help with a computer project that he was working on because he died?
Mm.
He had AIDS, and he knew he was
I knew
dying.
it. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we got that funny reaction when I asked him what he's going to be doing. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he didn't know when he was going to die, but
Yeah.
he was all set for that, which
Mm.
makes it this a sad story. I still have the disc from PageMaker 1.
PageMaker.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, that should be in a display case. Oh,
Well, it's in a box in my basement. Yeah.
yeah, it's
With
kind of
my other Macintosh stuff that goes back
All your other
back all
floppies.
the way to to those early days.
well,
Yeah, I mean that was the
Stan's
time
been
when you
refurbishing.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah,
yeah.
Stan's been refurbishing computers for a bazillion years,
Yeah,
and
I ran
helping out.
I ran a computer training and refurbishing organization for 20 years.
Wow.
That was like a sidestep that took me out of my path. My path was in networks and networking and bringing people together.
Yeah.
And but I kind of figured that why am I hanging out with all these people all over the world when I need to do something to earn a living, to have some money? And so I started teaching computers to nonprofits,
Oh, perfect.
and that worked out very nicely for 20 years or so. And it ended up people giving us computers. What are we going to do with these computers? So we decided we'll try to figure out how to fix them and give them away. And we did. We gave away about 2,000 computers to kids
Oh,
over
great.
several years, and had a warehouse with the city organization that was in charge of welfare to work came to me one day and said, "Would you like to have a business, a project to teach up to 20 people how to fix computers?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And they said, "Well, okay, you're going to have to do this and this and this." And they came with a couple of them as like dignitaries. Well, you're going to have to get air conditioning system. You're going to have to get all new rugs. You're going to have to do all. So and now you have to give us a proposal to tell us how much how much money do you need? I said, I have no idea. I was fortunate at the time to have two friends that were able to put together a concept, and we built a proposal that they accepted and passed it to the state. And the state came back and said, "Well, you can't spend $250,000 on air conditioning." And I said, "Well, okay, well." And then the people that we were working with obviously talked the state into it. So we got the $250,000 for the air conditioning system and all this other stuff, new curtains, new everything, and all kinds of equipment. And that was a lot of fun. And that was a big move
Amazing.
away from what I was really intended to do in life, which was to help people network. And so I didn't get back to that until the refurbishing and the training program was asked by a crowd of lawyers if we wanted to enter a proposal for something that they're working on. That there's a lawsuit against companies that make random access memory, and that's going on and going on and going on. And 2 years later, $150,000 showed up. No, half a million,
Gosh.
$500,000. Yeah, $500,000 shows up, and I go, okay. And my board looks at this check, and they had been really getting mad at me for holding the group together by putting the expenses on credit cards. So I had $50,000 in credit card debt, and this paid it off right away. Boom, boom, boom. But they decided that somebody else needed to take the helm. So I lost my job
Oh,
over bringing in this money, and which was a good thing because I needed to retire.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and now I can get back
Back to
to
your
to
mission.
my calling, which is to help people connect with each other. And so this last week, I hooked up Jim Garrison with a man named Anthony Judge, and I'm waiting to see how well that goes. I didn't realize that what they had in common. Anthony Judge is the retired founding editor of the Encyclopedia of World Problems and Human Potential. The Encyclopedia of World Problems
Wow.
and Human Potential, and he's been doing that since his whole career. He's probably in his 80s or 90s now,
Gosh.
and so he's the founding editor of that. And in the course of that, he spent most every year going to about 60 different conferences because the encyclopedia was under the auspices of the Association of International Associations, the dentists and the doctors and all these people who have international associations.
Oh,
The
wow.
yeah, the
There's an
UI,
overarching association.
huh?
There's an
Very active. Yeah,
overarching association. Oh my
right.
gosh.
So Tony used to spend each year, he'd set up to 60 conferences a year, going to these different things and writing, of course, writing these amazing structures of data and information that went to create the encyclopedia, which if you get a chance to, you should get a chance to look at it. um, it is a magnificent exercise they have an annual yearbook, and the yearbook has like 450,000 organizations represented. I don't have the numbers right, but it may be just 50,000. But
Maybe
they
more.
publish an annual yearbook, and the annual yearbook led to the Encyclopedia of World Problems, because they were able to put together what all these organizations are working on and doing those various things in a fairly scholarly way. And so that became the encyclopedia, and that still exists. Now, one of the things that happened last 2 weeks ago was that I ran across an article that Tony had written, Anthony Judge, Tony, I call him Tony. And I know him through a correspondence group that was going on for the last 15 or 20 years. And the correspondence group really died when the central figure in it passed away. But anyway, Tony had written an article, and I found out by searching after I saw the one I found, Gorbachev and there's a special word for it. I don't have that special word handy, but as a person who makes musical or entertainment like plays, and there's a special word for it. But anyway, so I'm reading this article about Gorbachev, and I said, well, okay, what else did he write about Gorbachev? And I looked it all up, and he had over 150 articles about Gorbachev in his website. Okay, we're referring to Gorbachev in one way or another.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's interesting. That's my opportunity to introduce Tony to Jim Garrison.
Nice.
Jim Garrison, in case you don't know, was Gorbachev's driver when Gorbachev came to the United States after the Soviet Union was closed. He also claims to be the last Westerner to be in Gorbachev's office the day that the Soviet Union was kaput, was turned off. And so they were close. And so I figured that maybe we'll find out yet. I still haven't heard anything from Tony about his interest in Jim, knowing Gorbachev, but Jim is so busy. I mean, he's now trying to bring in the rest of the universe into the United States and into the Earth.
Well, he's rather fixated at this point as and fascinated as the world is with what's going on in Israel and the Ukraine and all of the
Yeah.
We don't want
horror
to talk about
going
that.
on.
I mean, that's made
And
you
we're not
almost made you
going
cry the other
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So shut up.
yeah. And here's Red Clover Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Yeah. And I'm just really glad to see her coming in. But I do want to have Marco talk to you, HeatherAsh, because he is involved with the founder, the owner of this Zoom room. And yeah,
How do
he
you
works
explain
in-
Jamin to anybody? Good grief.
yeah. See, that's the thing. But and he has a link to Mexico as well. And so
Hmm.
You knew
um,
Vicente Fox and actually ran an event with Fox when he was president of
Yes,
Mexico.
present. Ah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
on marijuana.
Prior to that, computers, Jamin sponsored with Vicente an educational program that put uh, computers and trained young Mexicans to use computers. I forget exactly what it was called, but I think they had over 30 schools where they, you know, gave computer access and technology access to young Mexicans to help bring
Nice.
Mexico into the up to speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
And then
Marco,
yeah,
can I interrupt? I'm sorry, but Kate's got her hand up and she hasn't been here, so I really want to.
No, I
Oh, she's
thought.
trying to
What-
scrub it down,
Here's
Nancy.
the sad thing. I just looked at my email and I realized I missed the meditation with Linnea that I usually go to because of. So
Mm.
I think the Earthstock meeting, I forgot it was Tuesday.
Mm.
And it's like, and I just realized. So I'm real. Heather, you came to talk about Teotihuacan and I missed it. Did you record, Shannon?
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Oh,
Yes, it's all
beautiful.
recorded,
Did
and
you send it to me?
I will make it all pretty, and I'm going to put it up on my website. Heather Ash deserves to be on my website, and
Yeah,
you
I'm
deserve
so
to hear
bummed that I missed, so I had to jump on when I realized, oh my God, it's Tuesday night. I missed the meditation. I missed Shannon's room, and so I
Oh,
really wanted to hear because I was contemplating going there. And my friend Diane Browsey has gone to Charts with Jim for
Oh,
a
yeah.
year. You
Yes.
know Diane?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're a longtime pilgrim too.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yes.
Well, when I heard it, so I always thought she said it's kind of getting the travel is getting really intense going to
Yeah.
France now.
Mhm.
But I thought Teotihuacan might just be, and I feel like I have to, when I go to Palenque for Equinox, the land will tell me whether I should be there for
Mm.
solstice or not.
Yeah.
Because I want to be greedy in the travel area, but then
uh,
when I heard Shannon was going to Teotihuacan, I'm like, I think I should go. It's only a week away from my plans.
you
So
got
I'm
friends.
so sorry that I'm 90 minutes late.
We're glad you
Oh,
could join us in any case. It's great. It's great to see your face.
Kate, you're never late. You're always right on time.
Well, and yeah, as long as things are
Synchronicity Express
recorded,
doesn't
it's
make
true.
mistakes.
DST, everything's in divine standard time, and I
Nice.
thank you so much, Kate, for coming. And Marco, it's back over to you.
Oh, how do I begin and make this coherent? Because I get when I get into how the synchronicities in my life have brought me where I'm at, it just gets a little overwhelming. But let's I ended up in this space as a result of taking part in or watching the Harmonic Convergence 2020. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with, Heather.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this room was created by Jamin and Peter working in from radish.org, which is the site that Jamin started after he left Microsoft. He was corporate strategy manager for Bill Gates for I think 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when he, he made a proposal to Bill about, hey, I have this plan how we can end world hunger. And, we start in one place and it'll be self-replicating. And Bill's like, that's not what you get paid for. I don't have time for this. Go do your job. I have so many projects. I'm not interested in your world hunger thing. And so, Jamin shortly after quit and started the Radish, or Radish Collective Intelligence, to use collective intelligence to solve the world's problems.
Nice.
And it's evolved over the years. And one of the first projects he took on after leaving Microsoft was he got on board with legalizing cannabis. Technically, there were, Washington, where he lives, and Colorado had legalized it, but still federally illegal to this day, still federally illegal. But there was this all these people waiting to start businesses around legal cannabis, only not afraid to invest because of still being federally illegal. So he got together with Vicente Fox and they held a big press conference in Seattle. And I mean, there was just coverage from everywhere. And they basically, forced Obama's hand. He had to make a decision. It says either, cut fish or, cut bait, or fish or cut bait, get something. You have to answer this. We're all ready to go. So within 3 months, uh, the guy I can't remember his name, in charge of the Justice Department came out and made a statement that said, we have enough real criminals to be after. We have enough work to do as long as people abide by the laws of the states and it's all, supervised by the state and laws are followed. You'll become like not a priority, which is so only quasi legal wherever it's considered legal. Anytime the feds decide, they can come in and we're all screwed, basically. So it's kind of still a tenuous way to live, but progress comes in steps.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the next ideas they had in the Radish was they were meeting and like Zoom meetings and putting them on YouTube, and they were starting to get kind of an audience. So they said, we need a place that's all about just the conversations. So they formed this place, the conversation.cc, a place for conversations, all the important conversations. What's an important conversation? Well, anything that you, in any small way, leads to saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth to what it should be. So that room became this. The first official thing this room did was host the end of the day after party for the harmonic convergence of the during the 10 days, and they
Right.
scheduled 3 hours for that. Well, about 5.5 hours into that 3 hours, Peter and Jamin said, hey, we got to get some sleep, but there's so many of you still here, obviously wanting to engage. Somebody volunteer to host, and you guys can have the room. And nobody volunteered, but then suddenly people were volunteering me. People that we've only known each other for 5.5 hours, all strangers.
Right.
And
Wow.
at the end of the 10 days, we had made some pretty strong relationships. And, we'll exchange information and then we'll lose each other within a few weeks or months. And Peter said, no, don't go anywhere. This is what this space is for. Our goal is to eventually have it 24/7 so that anytime somebody comes in, there's space for a conversation. And since Zoom allows for breakout rooms, we can have up to 100 breakout rooms open and 100 conversations happening at any given time. And we're really grateful for that. And it was still in the middle of COVID, so, or at the beginning, really. So
Yeah.
there were still weeks and months of time where we were here all the time, 24/7. Somebody was here. And as that started to wane and there was just a small core group, Christopher, Dennis, and I still kept it open 24 hours between the two of us.
Great.
And then I got hospitalized, and that's a whole other thing. And he kept it open the 24 hours by himself. Then
Wow.
he had to, get back into the real world and work and earn money. And then I was back and I kept it open for 24 hours for quite a while. And then after a while, it just gets to be too much.
Yeah.
But we're kind of back with Alan, is in Scotland. So he's in a much the other time zones. So he's been keeping it open, and it's not been real cohesive lately. But we have, bright spots like where Shannon's every Tuesday here. Sunday we do a glass bead game here. Every Friday we do the 24-hour collective intelligence block party, 7 a.m. Pacific until Friday until 7 a.m. Friday. There's the room's open and something going on.
Oh,
Most
cool.
recently, we've started doing a podcast. Starts at noon Pacific, goes for 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. And then we have what we call the afterglow. And if panelists or guests from the podcast will come back into the main room and mingle with everybody. The last couple of weeks there weren't enough people here, so we just did it from the main room, and everybody was there. But and just, we meet so many amazing people here. Stan and Shannon and Kate's been a blessing all along. She's been connecting us to people from the very beginning. She brings us great people,
Mhm.
and
Nice.
it's just, you know uh, I so many people. There's been so much bad that's come out of COVID, and honestly, for me, it's just been a blessing. It's brought me the
Mhm.
I work with scientists and engineers and activists and brilliant people from all over the world. I can go just about, I think, any continent now, and there's somebody that'll take me in, if I can get there.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's just amazing. And then, in 2020 is when I met Chief Phil, and we worked on enlightening our way together, that first one and each one since. And then when he invited me with Adriana down to um, Palenque, and it turned out to be, from that dream, it's just, my life has
Mhm.
changed so much.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
again, I've been plagued by health issues the last 3 months, and it's looking that and finances. I don't know if I'll be able to make Palenque this year. It's going to take a lot of things to come together. I like this week. I just had a cardiac stress test done. Tomorrow I see the vascular surgeon for my leg. Thursday I see the ophthalmologist for my eyes, which are giving me problems. If I can get these things all together and then magically money appears, I'll be in Palenque. But short of that, I may not. But maybe June I can be in Mexico. That gives me
Mhm.
more time to heal and come together.
Yeah.
I really feel like I should be in Palenque this year because uh, Phil's Chief Phil has said that I need to be there, but I don't know how that's all going to work out. But
Yeah.
that's all. Really, the story here is this conversation space is here, and anytime you'd like to organize something and you need a Zoom that's already up and running, just let me know, and you can use this space. We'll organize it for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for holding the space open for so long.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank
Pleasure.
you.
It's
Mhm.
it's I was in a car accident in 2010, and unfortunately, like when I was in my, I think that dream I had about Palenque was probably the first really prophetic dream that I had, but I've had many since that have been proven. But during my teen years, my early 20s, it was all too confusing, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
I wished the visions away, and
of course.
tried to fit in, and that was,
Hmm.
I kind of think of those as a lost years when I had a job. But when that accident kind of put me on the sidelines, and it gave me, I have a really tiny disability check, and it gets me by, but it gives me the time to do philanthropy through the internet,
Mm.
and
Mm.
and and,
Beautiful.
and this last year, physically to show up in spaces, but only because I've had the help of community.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful.
So I'm back on, it sometimes takes a good swift kick in the butt to put you back where you're on your path that you're meant to be on.
Yeah.
And
So
tonight, like I said, I was supposed to be in another training, which is very important, but I really just felt I needed to be here tonight. And I didn't know you were going to be here, but now I see why.
oh,
Well,
Thank you,
beautiful.
Shannon.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't know that she was going to be here. I put events up on Facebook and on Ubiquity University, and you trust that the right people, and look what happens. We got
See,
exactly the right people. And Kate, you came at the perfect time. You really did. Before Heather Ash got here, we played the um, Humanity Rising episode in which she talked about Teotihuacan. And I can put that link into the chat for you if you want to go back and listen to that while you're waiting for this recording. And Heather Ash, it was so lovely to have you come and join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and much, much love to each of you. And I hope to see you in Mexico at some point, physically or in the dream world.
That sounds lovely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
All right, sweet ones.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for being
Bye.
here. You are one of my heroes. So there you
Oh,
go.
thanks, Stan. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
so good
loves.
to meet you, Heather.
Wow. Wow. And I will stop the recording now because that's the right time to stop it. I just have to find how to pause, stop there.